Putin Bad News Putin has made VPNs and their associated data illegal. After his invasion of Ukraine, which cost tens of thousands of lives on both sides and accomplished nothing more than making his country an international pariah, nothing that insane Russian dictator Vladimir Putin does should surprise us these days. But none of us anticipated his deeming VPN compares efforts to be illegal. But that's exactly what he's done with the most recent changes to Russian law that make it a crime to share information about using a virtual private network, VPN, inside Russia. Where can I find out about the most outlandish new Russian laws? Federal Law No. 406/FZ, on amendments to the Federal Law on Information, Information Technologies, and Information Protection, and the Federal Law on Communications, is the formal name for the new Russian law that was first noticed by TorrentFreak and signed off on by Vladimir Putin. They include a number of measures that further undermine online freedoms in Russia and were signed into law by the Russian megalomaniac on July 31. VPN-related ones are the most pressing for us. Although it is not technically illegal to operate a VPN service within Russia at this time, few VPNs of any note continue to do so due to the previous laws requiring data on Russian citizens to be retained and held on domestic servers. Being a VPN oneself is not illegal, but disseminating information about VPNs is now illegal. It is now a crime to distribute instructions for using virtual private networks, VPNs, or other tools that enable users to circumvent censorship, including the Tor network. We have no employees in Russia and will continue to post about Russia and offer advice to Russians on how to circumvent laws like this one and read about the Putin regime's illegal invasion of Ukraine from anywhere in the world. However, until the Putin regime has fallen and Russia is free once more, we may omit Moscow and St. Petersburg from our summer vacation plans. Is it only gambling that is now banned in Russia's internet? Putin did not go out of his way to ban us, so that flattering assessment is not entirely accurate. The new legal amendments he just signed into law contain many other troubling features. Verified Russian email accounts are required for registration for the diminishing number of Russians who wish to use the Russian internet. It is now against the law to use Gmail or Apple Mail or any other anonymous foreign email service. Starting in December, all Russian online services will be required to confirm the identities of new customers. In other words, you can't just send them an email with a confirmation code and call it good. As a natural consequence of this law, the Russian government will have complete information about the identities and online activities of its citizens. If someone does something online that Putin doesn't like, Russian authorities will be able to find their home and hand down whatever punishment Putin decides is appropriate for the day. The Unified System of Identification and Authentication is the most likely platform Russian websites will use for verification purposes. It collects and stores vast amounts of personal information, including biometric data, which is particularly unsettling. The Putin regime must now approve all hosting companies. Web hosting businesses in Russia, or those providing computing power for the placement of information on a system permanently connected to the Internet, are subject to a slew of new regulations under a law Putin recently signed into effect. Hosts in Russia need the government's blessing just to do business there, and they must act in complete accordance with all laws and regulations. They must not only hand over any user data requested by the Russian authorities, but also provide the necessary computing resources for those investigations, all while remaining silent about their cooperation. On February 1 of next year, the Russian government will implement a registry of web hosting providers. Companies that fail to comply with these new laws, as well as the many others they already face, will be removed from the register and effectively barred from doing business in Russia. A Russian hosting provider must be owned by a Russian citizen without dual citizenship or ties to any other country in order to be included on the blacklist. The same ownership requirements will be imposed on news aggregator sites as well, dealing another blow to free speech in Russia. Ignoring Russia's wacky new cyber laws and still having fun? The best way to circumvent these invasive Russian internet laws is to use a virtual private network, VPN, which we should reiterate at the risk of breaking Putin's ridiculous new law. You can learn the truth about the Putin regime and express your opinions without worrying about repercussions from the Russian government if you use a virtual private network, VPN, to access the Internet. Our Best VPN for Russia article compares and contrasts all of the top services, so you can make an informed decision about which one to use while visiting Putin's Russia. Even though VPNs are not yet technically illegal in Russia, we feel it's important to note that doing so is not risk-free. If you intend to use one, you should take every precaution possible to prevent any data leaks, including turning on the kill switch. We will continue to provide this guidance despite Putin's regime's threats against sites like ours. The courageous Russian people will continue to use VPNs to access information and online services, and this will have no effect on their determination to fight for the future of their country. We at VPN Compare will proudly wear Vladimir Putin's declaration that our service is illegal as a badge of honor.